Transfer deadline day is tomorrow, and I'm going to cover all the news that you need to know about Liverpool and who they might sign. I have 5 players I've compiled who I think are the most likely candidates to get a signature come transfer deadline day. Once the window is shut, if Liverpool is to sign a player, I'd probably place my money on one of these 5. But knowing Liverpool and knowing the transfer market, you just never know. Transfer deadline day is going to be crazy. I'm going to cover it as much as I humanly can, and then I'm going to have a lot of content afterwards covering every team in the Premier League, rating transfers, tier lists, stuff like that. So if you want to see more of that content, if you want to see more Premier League content, consider subscribing to the Sideline Sedo YouTube channel for all your content needs. Quickly, let me just look at the squad here. As you can see, Liverpool's squad is fairly thin, if we're being entirely honest. 3 signings here, but without them, it looks bare bone almost. So right at the start, we're going to start with a player who's linked very recently. We're going to start with him, actually. Cheick doucoure, who was left out in a game against, I forget who, but Crystal Palace played in the League Cup, and they didn't even have Cheick doucoure on the bench, which is somewhat interesting as Liverpool has made contact according to several reports. Apparently Cheick doucoure, would enjoy a move there, which I could see him being a good fit for Liverpool. But all in all, him not playing, meaning that he wouldn't be cup tied, kind of could signal that a move could be imminent. Let's look at his stats really quick. Very good tackler, very good defensive midfielder, great work ethic on and off the ball. And honestly, he could be a player who, just does everything Liverpool needs from a defensive mid perspective. Break up play. He doesn't necessarily make too many passes, and he's not too great at it. But, I think if he were to play in Liverpool's midfield, he would cover all the areas that Liverpool currently have some struggles with in terms of the center of the park. Here, once again, here's his stats. I have a split up by 3 midfielders and 2 defenders. So I think Cheick doucoure could be a very good option in the sense that if he were to come into Liverpool's midfield, you would expect him to start. And a midfield 3 of doucoure, Szoboszlai, and McAllister, great work rate, very good players in terms of being able to apply Klopp's system. The gegenpress relies on midfielders with legs, and if anything, these 3 guys certainly have legs. There's no stats to show his covered distance, but he is a player who has been immense for Crystal Palace, even though he signed just a season ago. And on top of that, he's a guy who won their player of the season. So I think he would be an amazing signing for Liverpool. As of right now, I'm leaning towards believing that he's probably the midfielder that Liverpool are looking to snatch up before the window slams shut. But there's also Ryan Gravenberch. Ryan Gravenberch is a player who, has played at Ajax, is now playing at Bayern, apparently might be interested in a move away. Some people are reporting that he prefers Man United. I don't think that matters in the sense that if he gets a move transfer deadline day and it's the only move where it's accepted and it's on the table, you never know. Any player would like maybe a change of scenery or something like that. He's currently playing at Bayern, but he's already won the Bundesliga. So it really just depends on what he's looking for in his career. And move abroad, so to speak, to not necessarily he's only played 10 minutes too. So there's no reason why, from his perspective, he wouldn't fancy a move away. So you look at these stats and immediately you see an incredibly well-rounded, versatile midfielder who can come in and, play a multitude positions. He could moonlight as a 6, it seems. He could, play as a more progressive box-to-box type of midfielder. He's good at scoring goals for a midfielder. Comparable to Gallagher, somewhat to McAllister as well, and Jude. So and Kefren Turam. So he would fit that kind of mold player. I would have loved Liverpool to sign Kefren Turam, but that move looks like it's well beyond any sort of reasonable stretch of potentially occurring. So I don't know necessarily if Ryan Gravenberch will be signed, but the key thing to remember with him is he is 21, so he wouldn't have to be registered as a international player, and he wouldn't take up a foreign/non homegrown player slot. So that would be absolutely immense for Liverpool in the sense that you would get even more versatility and work within your means. And signing, say, these two in midfield, Liverpool's midfield then looks like incredibly stacked. But I think it's one or the other. It could be both, but I think Liverpool is more likely going to sign a defender on top of a midfielder as opposed to just signing two midfielders. A midfielder will certainly get signed, is my expectation. That's the expectation of most, I would think. But to be honest, I mean, if Liverpool doesn't sign a midfielder, it would feel like the window were to end without any sort of, you know, concrete resolution, so to speak. So in a way, it's just kind of like you would expect for a team of Liverpool's stature to go out and basically do their best to completely round out the squad. I don't think that this next player who has been linked to Liverpool is, you know, a good fit regardless. I don't know. I would maybe take the roll of dice on him, but it'd feel a little underwhelming if we're being entirely honest here. Wilfred Ndidi just got relegated with Leicester. He suffered a bad injury a while back. He's 26. And while his defensive stats are incredible, I just don't know if he is the player that Liverpool needs. You know, he takes up a foreign-born player slot, and it just kind of puts you in a position where you just can't, you know, you can't be flexible, so to speak. You're stuck with just like, you know, you're stuck with a squad that is aging, a squad that's not necessarily capable of fulfilling itself to its full potential, potentially, depending on, you know, the personnel. And I just don't like the fit of Ndidi at Liverpool. I mean, if he signs, I'll support him. I'll support anyone who signs Liverpool. But in terms of mids, he is easily the weakest out of these three in terms of potential hype for a signing. For me, I think my preferred signings would be if we sign two midfielders, obviously just these two. But let me know if we had to sign one midfielder as opposed to two, which of these two would you rather sign? Gravenberch and doucoure. Comment down below in the comments. I want to see what you have to say about this. But finally, let's talk about some potential defensive signings, starting with Arthur Thieth. Left-footed center back, 23 years old, from Stade Rennais, or Rennes, rather, not Stade Rennais. But he's a player who, in many respects, fills that kind of void for Liverpool in terms of being a, you know, that kind of progressive left-sided center back who could, you know, get forward and provide Liverpool with some kind of, you know, constructive build-up play as, you know, a center back. And I haven't ever seen this guy play. I am very impressed by his stats, and Liverpool just need a left-sided center back. So I'll honestly take anybody. Like, I'll take like Boris Johnson at left center back. I would gladly take Boris Johnson at left center back, as opposed to, you know, going and not having anyone. And the player who I think is more likely to sign out of the two is Piero Hincapié, who I did believe there would be a chance that Hincapié wouldn't necessarily sign or that negotiations would be difficult. But like I said, transfer deadline day, anything can happen. And for me, out of, you know, Hincapié and Thieth, I think that Hincapié seems like the more well-rounded and versatile player. And all in all, I think you could have a setup at Liverpool where he could play as the left back sometimes. He could play as the center back. He is represented by the same contractors as not contractors. Gosh, I'm saying like he's a construction worker. No, he's a professional footballer. He's got the same agents as Moise Caicedo. So in a way, I don't necessarily think that negotiations would be an easy task, but I do love his stats. And even as a fullback, and if you compare him as a fullback, he's kind of like a Dan Burn type. He's significantly shorter than Dan Burn at 5'11", but he's a very good progressive center back. And as a fullback, he's not that bad either in terms of completing passes. But as a center back, he's a bit more progressive. He's a good carrier of the ball. And honestly, perfect window, ideal window that could potentially happen here for Liverpool for me is honestly, now that I'm looking at it, 6'3", can't play as a left back, but similar to Gvardiol and Matip, his carries are high too, and his progressive passes are way higher. So honestly, out of the two, oh yeah, no. Sorry, Nkapia. I'm going with Tieth. Perfect window, as I've seen it across these 5 players who, as of right now, are the most frequently linked and most likely to sign for Liverpool. My ideal window, cheick doucoure, Ryan Gravenberch, Arthur Tieth. What do I think is going to happen? I think one of Gravenberch or doucoure will get signed. That's it. I don't think Liverpool even sign a defender, but I think they'd be silly not to jump on this guy, Arthur Tieth. I didn't even see he's expiring in 2026. So he's on 3 years. It costs a bit more, but at 6'3", left-footed, those progressive passing stats, like, come on, man. You can't not be impressed by that. And I think as a player, he could really help shift some of the responsibility that Verge has, because then you could rotate him in there and not be concerned about how are we going to build out from left center back with our rotation pieces. But all in all, these are the 5 players: doucoure, Gravenberch, Ndidi, Tieth, and Kapia. Those are the most likely players to sign for Liverpool before transfer deadline day slams shut. Comment down below, who do you want Liverpool to sign? What do you think Liverpool will do in the transfer window? And how would you rate the transfer window before transfer deadline day has occurred? How has it been so far? Right now, I'm feeling like solid like 7, maybe. I think McAllister and Szoboszlai are great signings. I think Endo will be really good and help rotate the squad a lot. And honestly, I think that Liverpool will sign somebody, but I think they're going to surprise us because, as everyone knows, transfer deadline day is just an absolutely unbelievable kind of occurrence. It's really, specifically in the summer, it's like a once in a lifetime experience, but it happens every year, so it's a once in a year experience. And consider subscribing to the Sideline Sedo YouTube channel for all your Liverpool, Premier League, transfer news, and general football content needs. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.